The sky was clear. It was just another morning in New York City. People walked to work, children rushed to schools, and cars filled the roads. Everything felt normal until the sky darkened without warning. At first, people thought it was a solar eclipse. But there was no warning on the news. No one expected this. Then someone looked up. High above the earth, a giant shadow covered the sun. It wasn't a cloud. It wasn't natural. It was metal, black, smooth, and silent. It hovered like a monster waiting to strike. And it wasn't alone. Around the world, other shadows appeared. Over Tokyo, over London, over Cairo, over Sydney. 12 massive ships, each the size of a small city, hovered in the sky. No lights, no weapons, no message, just silence. Inside a command center buried deep beneath Washington, D.C., alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Soldiers ran to their posts. General Marcus Hale stood at the center of the room, staring at the screen. "How many ships?" he asked, his voice calm but tight. 12, sir," replied a young officer. "One over each major region. Same size, same pattern, no movement yet. Have they tried to contact us?" "Nothing, sir. Total silence." General Hale nodded. "Put all satellites on them. I want eyes from every angle. Scramble jets, but no fire unless ordered." "Yes, sir." News spread fast. Every TV screen, every phone, every radio repeated the same message. Unidentified objects spotted above Earth. Governments advise calm. Stay indoors. But the people weren't calm. Some screamed in the streets. Others prayed. Some took selfies, thinking it was a stunt or new alien movie, but the ships didn't move. They just hovered like vultures above a dying animal. At NASA's Deep Space Center, Dr. Lena Perez watched the data pour in. "They didn't come from space," she whispered. Her assistant looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" There was no entry detected. No heat signature, no warp trace. 1 second there was nothing. Then they were just there. "Like they blinked in?" "Yes," she said, still staring. "Like they were hiding in our blind spots." She turned to her computer and typed fast. "These things didn't travel to Earth. They appeared." At the White House, President Mitchell sat with his security team. "We're not firing first," he said firmly. "But, sir," his defense chief argued, "if they land, they haven't. They're watching us, waiting." The president stood and walked to the window. One of the ships floated far above, barely visible, but big enough to block a part of the sun. "We need to know what they want before they act." In the skies over India, fighter jets flew past the alien ship. They circled, watched, and recorded. The alien craft didn't move, no reaction at all. Suddenly one of the jet engines sputtered, then died. The pilot panicked. "Engine 1 failing, requesting emergency." The radio went dead. The jet started to fall, but just before it hit the ground, it disappeared. Not exploded, not crashed, just gone, vanished into thin air. Back at the U.S. Command Center, AEA, silence filled the room as they replayed the footage. "What the hell was that?" General Hale asked. The techs had no answer. "It's like something removed it," one of them said. "Removed?" "Yes, sir. Like it was erased from reality. Across the world, more jets approached the ships, but none got close. Every aircraft that flew within a certain range vanished. No remains, no black box, no signal. It was as if the sky had a boundary, and anything that crossed it was deleted." In a hidden bunker in Siberia, an old man in a lab coat stared at the screen. His name was Dr. Mikhail Sorin, and he had seen something like this before. He opened an old file, one not found in any modern database. It was marked Project Black Veil, 1962, classified above top secret. Inside were photos of a strange object seen during the Cold War. It hovered like today's ships. It made no sound, and it caused a Soviet jet to vanish without trace. The file ended with one sentence: "Do not engage. Earth is protected." Dr. Sorin picked up a phone. "It's happening again," he said. Back in New York, people stared at the sky. Hours had passed. Still no movement. Still no message. A boy pointed at the ship. "Why don't they land?" His father looked nervous. "Maybe they don't need to," a woman nearby whispered. "Maybe they're waiting for something." And then, for the first time, one of the ships moved. The ship over Cairo dropped lower. Slowly, quietly. It came down through the clouds, just above the buildings. People screamed and ran, but before it could touch the ground, it vanished. Just like that. No noise. No flash. No crash. It was just gone. World leaders held emergency calls. President Mitchell stared at the footage. They didn't land. Something stopped them. General Hale leaned in. Or something erased them for trying. At a secret site in Greenland, a hidden machine came online. It was round, ancient, and not built by human hands. It pulsed with dark blue light. A voice came from its core. Not a human voice. Not alien either, just other. "Earth is sealed. Do not open the door." The scientists looked at each other, terrified. "Who activated it?" one asked. No one answered, because the machine had turned on by itself. Dr. Lena Perez got a signal from space. It wasn't from the ships. It came from the other side of the galaxy. One word translated clearly. "Stop." She stared at the screen. "They weren't invading us," she said. "They were testing something." Her assistant frowned. "Testing? What?" If Earth was still protected. The sky over Earth turned calm again. All remaining ships were gone. No trace, no burn marks, no wreckage, not even dust. The world held its breath. Something ancient had just awoken. And it had protected Earth again. But the question remained, who or what erased them before they even landed? The next day, the skies were quiet. But fear had already spread. Across Earth, people stayed indoors. Streets were half empty. Planes were grounded. Cities looked frozen. The world waited for answers. Only one thing was clear. The aliens had come. And they had vanished. No war, no weapons, no landing, just gone. But the silence made things worse, because no one knew why. In a military base in Nevada, General Marcus Hale stood before his top officers. "All 12 alien ships disappeared," he said. "No explosions, no wreckage. It's like they were deleted." A young colonel raised his hand. "Sir, if it was a human attack, wouldn't we find something?" Hale nodded. "Exactly. That's what scares me. This wasn't done by us." He turned to the screen. Satellite images showed 12 empty skies, clear, untouched, almost too perfect. The question is, who did this, and why? Dr. Lena Perez sat in her lab at NASA, staring at a wave pattern on her monitor. It wasn't a normal signal. It was rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Faint, but steady. She zoomed in. It came from deep inside the Earth. Her assistant walked in. "Still working on the signal?" Lena nodded. "It's not alien," he blinked. "Then what is it?" "It started at, the exact moment the first ship appeared, and it hasn't stopped since." "Could it be a defense system?" Lena stared at the screen. "Maybe, but not one we built." In Tokyo, a news channel replayed footage from the previous day. It showed the massive alien ship hovering above the skyline, silent and unmoving. People watched as it suddenly vanished into thin air. "Some say it's a miracle," the anchor said. "Others think it's Earth's secret weapon." But one old scientist on the panel leaned forward and said something chilling. "We were protected," he said. "Not by us. By something older than we remember." At the United Nations, world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. Tensions were high. The Russian ambassador slammed his fist. If we didn't destroy the ships, then who did? The U.S. representative replied, "We're investigating. Our weapons never fired." A Chinese general leaned in. Then it was something else. The room went silent. The French president whispered, "Maybe Earth isn't just ours." Everyone turned to look at her. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a U.S. Navy drone picked up something strange. Beneath the waves, far below normal sonar range, was a structure, huge, cold, and metallic. It hadn't been there before. Or maybe it had always been there, but hidden. It gave off no heat, no energy. But when the drone got close, it stopped working, just like the jets near the alien ships. It simply turned off and sank. Back at the Pentagon, General Hale received the report. He frowned. "Another erasure zone?" The analyst nodded. "Same pattern, same effect. No explosion, just gone." Hale rubbed his temples. "That makes 4 zones on Earth now, each one near a ship's last known position." "Sir, what?" "If those areas are guarded?" He paused. "Or cursed," someone whispered in the back. Meanwhile, in a private server room under the Vatican, a priest unlocked an ancient file. It was a scanned page from a 1,200-year-old book. It showed a drawing, giant flying objects in the sky, people running in fear, and one line written in Latin, "They shall come again, but earth shall swallow them before their feet touch ground." The priest closed the file. It had happened before. In a cold desert bunker, Dr. Mikhail Sorin reviewed old Soviet files from 1962. All were marked top secret. All described the same thing: strange objects in sky, vanishing jets, one-word transmission from unknown source. Claimed. He muttered to himself, "They didn't invade us. They walked into someone else's land." He picked up the phone. "I think we are standing on a trap," he said, and they triggered it. The President of the United States held a press conference. His face looked tired, nervous. "We are not under attack," he said, "but we are being watched. We believe Earth is not defenseless. It has a reaction, one we do not understand." He paused. "We are safe, for now," but deep down, he didn't believe that. Not fully, because something still buzzed in the air, a pressure, a feeling, as if something had awakened and wasn't done yet. In northern Alaska, a research team hiked toward a magnetic anomaly. Their compasses spun wildly. Animals refused to go near. They found a hole, deep and perfectly round. Machines stopped working near it. One scientist dropped. A small drone inside. It vanished. She gasped. "Like the ships?" She didn't see the stone nearby. It was covered in markings, alien, ancient, and half buried in ice. One symbol was clear. It was Earth with a line through it. Meanwhile, in deep space, a small alien ship received the last message from the vanished fleet. It read, "Do not land. Earth is not empty. Earth is not safe. Earth is sealed." The alien pilot read it and trembled. His people had feared Earth for centuries. Long ago, legends warned that Earth was cursed, that no conqueror ever returned. They thought it was myth. Now they knew it was truth. He turned his ship around and fled. On Earth, Dr. Lena Perez made a final calculation. Her hands shook. She stared at the screen. "It's not a signal," she whispered. "It's a heartbeat." Her assistant looked confused. "A heartbeat from what?" She looked up slowly, from the Earth itself, and for 1 second, everything on Earth fell silent. No birds, no wind, no sound, just stillness, as if the planet was holding its breath. The room was cold. Lights flickered on one by one. A heavy steel door opened deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. 3 men walked in, silent, alert, and armed. Behind them, a woman in a white lab coat followed. Her name was Dr. Elaine Rivers, head. of a program so secret even most world leaders didn't know it existed. The program was called Project Echo, and it was waking up. Long ago, in 1984, Earth found something strange under the Sahara Desert. Deep metal plates with alien markings, buried under 3 miles of sand. They were older than the pyramids. At first, people thought it was a crashed ship, but it wasn't. It was a lock, a seal, and it wasn't locking something inside. It was locking Earth from the outside world. The plates were taken and hidden away. A group of scientists were assigned to study them. That group became Project Echo. Now, after the alien ships appeared and vanished, Echo's systems began activating automatically, without any human command. Inside the Echo Control Center, large screens glowed blue. Dr. Rivers stared at them. "It's reading external interference." One of the techs leaned forward. "From where?" "Above," she whispered. "Just before each ship vanished, something touched the outer layers of our atmosphere, something not visible, something ancient." General Marcus Hale appeared on the main screen from D. "C, what's your assessment, Dr. Rivers?" She took a deep breath. "We're not alone, not just in space, but here, on Earth. Something is protecting us, something tied to those alien plates, and it's not man-made." The general nodded. "Keep digging. Quietly." Meanwhile, in Paris, a scientist working independently sent an urgent message to NASA. His theory was shocking. Earth has a defensive field, not energy, but spatial. He claimed Earth's orbit was surrounded by a barrier made of folded space. Normally inactive, but if something hostile entered, the field would erase it, not destroy, just remove it from this dimension. NASA dismissed it, but Dr. Lena Perez didn't. She saw the same patterns, same energy signals, and now, Project Echo confirmed it. Back in the mountain base, one of the soldiers near the vault stopped walking. His ears started to bleed, then his body locked up, frozen in place. He wasn't dead. He was... paused. Dr. Rivers gasped. "Get him out of the zone, now!" 2 guards pulled him back. As soon as his foot left the circular platform in the center of the vault, he gasped for air and collapsed. "What just happened?" a tech asked. Rivers stared at the platform. "It's responding to movement, like it's scanning, but not for us." Then the room filled with a strange humming sound, low, deep, like the sound of a planet breathing. The center platform began to shift. Symbols lit up on its surface, alien letters never seen before. But somehow, the Echo computer translated them. "This planet is claimed." Everyone in the room froze. "Claimed by who?" someone whispered. Dr. Rivers looked around. "Not by humans." Far above Earth, a stealth probe floated near orbit. It wasn't human, and it wasn't from the vanished fleet either. It belonged to a race older than both. They were the Spectari, recorders of time, watchers of dying worlds, observers of power. One of their probes had watched Earth for 10,000 years, and now it was recording again. Log entry: species attempted invasion. Response: total erasure. Guardian still active. Earth remains forbidden. The probe sent its message across the stars. In the Echo base, a new alarm flashed. Dr. Rivers ran to the console. "We're receiving a signal." The signal was not from space. It was coming from under the Earth. One of the scientists panicked. "That's over 700 kilometers down. That's the mantle," another voice said quietly. "There shouldn't be anything alive down there." The message translated on screen. "Do not unseal." Dr. Rivers stepped back. "Unseal what?" The computer responded with a second message. "They have already touched the sky. The Guardian is awake." In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, strange energy pulses were recorded by underwater sensors. A ship was sent to investigate. The crew dropped a drone. It found something impossible: a massive doorway under the ocean floor, covered in strange markings, half open. Suddenly, the drone's screen went black. Then the ship's engines failed. The entire crew looked up and screamed. A giant shape rose from the deep, not solid, not liquid, like a ghost made of light and metal. It didn't attack. It simply watched. Then it sank back into the deep. In Russia, Dr. Soren met with an old contact. They discussed something from decades ago, the Kola superdeep borehole, the deepest man-made hole on Earth. Strange signals were heard there. Tapes were destroyed. One worker vanished. Now the signal was back, and it matched the one from Project Echo. Earth's core was talking again. The President of the United States was briefed. He stared at the words, "Do not unseal." He turned to General Hale. "Are we in danger?" Hale replied, "Only if we try to fight something we don't understand." The President nodded. "Then we don't touch anything." But it was already too late, because someone had touched it. A rogue country had fired a weapon toward one of the erasure zones, just to test it. The missile disappeared mid-flight. Then their military base lost power. One by one, their satellites fell from orbit. They were being warned. At Project Echo, the vault now glowed with steady blue light. Dr. Rivers stood in front of the main interface. One final message blinked on screen. "You are protected, but not forever," she whispered. "What does that mean?" The system didn't answer, but the heartbeat signal grew louder. In deep space, the Spectari probe watched Earth with silent fear. It sent one final broadcast. Earth is not a battlefield, it is a tomb, and what sleeps within is waking. Night fell over Tokyo. The skies were clear. Stars sparkled quietly above the city's glowing skyline. The alien ship that had once hovered over the city was gone. But something else remained. A presence. An invisible pressure hung in the air. Radios buzzed with static. Animals acted strange, howling, hiding, or fleeing altogether. And in the skies, birds flew in wide circles, avoiding one specific point above the city. Even though the alien ship had vanished, something was still there. Major Kenji Takahashi of the Japan Self-Defense Force stood on the rooftop of a skyscraper. His eyes scanned the horizon through night vision binoculars. "There's no visible object," he said to his team. "But the instruments still read a mass above us." His lieutenant looked worried. "Like a ghost ship?" "No, ghosts don't. Press the air down like this." Suddenly, one of the sensors beeped. A sharp spike. The air above shimmered. Just for a second, everyone looked up, and something unfolded in the sky. It was massive, not metal, not stone. It looked like a structure made of light and shadow, spinning slowly in the air, with glowing rings orbiting its core. But it wasn't visible to the naked eye, only through military-grade sensors. And worst of all, it was not moving. It was watching. In a Tokyo university, Professor Riku Yamamoto studied ancient star charts and legends. He had been researching the 12 sky warnings from Japanese folklore, old tales that spoke of lights in the sky that made people vanish. He now believed the stories weren't myths. They were memories of something long forgotten. He compared the current satellite maps with the old star charts. They matched, down to the exact coordinates. "They returned," he whispered, just as before. Inside a defense center near Mount Fuji, Japan's top scientists reviewed the anomaly over Tokyo. One said, "It's not a ship." Another replied, "Then what is it?" A third pointed to the screen. "It's a gate." Silence. They all stared. A gate? A portal? To where? Or worse, from where? Back on the rooftop, Major Kenji's radio crackled. "Sir, something's moving." Inside the sky, he raised his binoculars again and saw it. Figures, dozens of them, humanoid shapes, slowly descending from the floating structure. Made of dark smoke and light, their bodies shimmered like heat waves. They had no wings, no gear, no visible weapons. But they were falling. straight toward the city. "Are we being invaded again?" the lieutenant asked, trembling. Kenji didn't answer. He watched as the first figure reached a height of 500 meters, then 400, and at 300 meters, it vanished. Gone. No explosion, no sound, just erased. The second figure tried to descend faster, same result. The third hovered for a moment, then vanished without even entering the lower sky. Each one that tried to cross into Earth's airspace disappeared. Major Kenji turned on infrared. There was a ring, invisible to the eye but real, a barrier, one that did not destroy, it simply removed. In the Pentagon, General Hale received Tokyo's footage. He leaned in close. "So they're still trying to land—" Dr. Rivers appeared on the screen from Project Echo. "Yes, but they can't." "Because of the Guardian?" Rivers nodded. "Whatever force protects Earth, it doesn't let anything touch the ground if it sees it as a threat. But we're not controlling it. No, and that's the terrifying part." Meanwhile, in orbit, an alien listening post captured the Tokyo incident. Their species was called the Threxan Hive. They had sent the original fleet to Earth, believing the humans were weak and divided. Now they saw the footage of the gate over. "Tokyo! They saw their soldiers vanish one by one. They saw the erasure. Their leader screamed, 'Who protects the humans? Who?' No one answered, because no one knew. Not even the humans." Back in Tokyo, Professor Yamamoto met with the government science council. He unrolled an old scroll from a locked case. The painting on it showed flying beings, almost angelic, being stopped mid-air by a circle of light. "Ancient texts call it the Sky Veil," he explained. "A divine field that protects Earth in times of great danger, but it's not divine. It's real, and it activates only when Earth is touched by outsiders." One scientist laughed nervously. "You mean to say the planet fights back?" Yamamoto nodded. "Not just fights, erases." Later that night, Major Kenji stood once again under the sky. The invisible structure still floated above, but now it was shrinking, folding in on itself, one ring at a time. Within minutes, it collapsed silently, leaving no trace behind. The sensors went dead. The pressure in the air lifted. The sky was normal again. And yet, no one felt safe. In the depths of Project Echo, Dr. Rivers watched as the Tokyo footage played on loop. The Echo system translated one final signal: "Gate denied. Return to the void." She whispered to herself. Whatever built this system didn't just want to protect Earth. They wanted it untouched, pure. Across the galaxy, the Threxan Hive sent a message to all their allies. "Do not enter Earth's atmosphere. You will not survive. The planet is cursed. We have lost another strike force." And attached to the message was silence. The kind of silence that felt like a warning. The skies above Earth were quiet again. The black ships were still, but no one believed the danger had passed. Captain Sarah Grant stood inside Earth Defense Command. Her eyes were locked on the screens, watching the enemy fleet. The invaders had stopped moving, but their weapons were charging, slowly, carefully, silently. "It's too quiet," Sarah said. "They're preparing something big." Commander Ortega nodded. "Maybe a planet buster. Maybe a cloaked drop team. Either way, they're not done." Far above Earth, inside the lead alien warship, the high strategist of the Valari Empire sat motionless. His silver eyes stared at the blue planet below. "The humans show no panic," he hissed. "They are either fools or they know something." A younger Valari officer stepped forward. "We have scanned Earth's surface. Their defense weapons are still offline. No shields, no fleet, just silence." The high strategist raised one clawed finger. "That silence is a trap." Back on Earth, Sarah reviewed old battlefield footage from other Valari attacks. In every case, the Valari fired first. In every case, the enemy dropped soldiers after a softening strike. But not here. Not yet. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Deep hum filled the base. The screens showed waves of energy building inside the alien fleet. One ship lit up like a star, then another. "They're charging plasma bombs," a technician shouted. Everyone moved. Sarah barked orders. "Power up all surface shields. I don't care if it burns every core we've got." But deep down, she knew Earth had no real defense. Not against a full Valari strike. And yet, she didn't panic. Because she remembered something. The message. That strange signal Earth had sent just hours before the Valari fleet arrived. A signal so strange, even Earth's own scientists didn't understand it. What if that signal wasn't for them? Sarah whispered. What if it was for someone else? Suddenly, a red alert blared across the control room. "They're launching! 10 drop pods incoming!" Everyone stared at the screen. The Valari were finally making their move. 10 sleek pods. Shot from orbit, aimed straight for Earth's surface, fast, silent, burning hot through the clouds. But halfway down, they vanished. No explosion, no crash, no impact. The 10 dots on the screen blinked out. One by one. Silence followed. Sarah looked around the room. No one spoke. The technician's hand was shaking. "Did they cloak mid-drop?" Ortega asked, voice shaking. "No," the tech replied. "They're just gone." High above, the Valari fleet began to shift. Their ships turned in tight formations. Some began to retreat. Others powered down. Confusion spread across their command deck. "What happened?" the high strategist demanded. "Where are the pods?" No one had an answer. One alien officer trembled. "They didn't land. They didn't crash. They were consumed." Consumed? The high strategist looked again at the blue planet. Suddenly, it didn't look so weak, so simple. Down on Earth, Sarah's radio crackled. A voice, cold, metallic, but human. Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. Sarah's heart skipped. The voice wasn't from Earth. It came from somewhere deeper, somewhere darker. The war hadn't begun. It had been waiting. The Valari fleet hovered in silence. Their drop pods were gone, erased. Not destroyed, not jammed, just gone. Inside the command ship, fear spread like a virus. The high strategist slammed his fist on the table. "Send more. 10 more pods. I want troops on the surface now." But his officers hesitated. They won't make it," one said, voice trembling. "Just like the last ones." Another whispered, "Something on Earth is hunting them." The strategist hissed, "Then bomb the surface. Burn it to ash. They want to hide in shadows? We'll erase the shadows." But as he gave the order, the lights flickered. The ship trembled. Power dropped for 2 seconds, long enough for panic to spread. "Something is inside our systems," one officer shouted. Far below, deep in Earth's crust, inside an old black site abandoned decades ago, 2 humans stood watching data scroll across screens, older than most of Earth's soldiers. One was Sarah's older brother, Dr. Grant. The other, a man with a face hidden by shadows, simply called himself Marek. He smiled. "They took the bait," Marek said calmly. "Just like we planned." The bait wasn't just the fake signal. It was everything. The empty defense systems, the weak shield arrays, the silence on comms. Humanity had made itself look helpless on purpose. Because they knew. The Valari wouldn't land if they saw real danger. But they would charge in if Earth looked broken. Dr. Grant turned to Marek. "You sure it will hold? The null net is still untested." Marek gave a small nod. "It's not a net. It's a trap. One that works in both directions." He pressed a button. High above, the Valari ships began to blink. Their lights dimmed, engines slowed, weapons powered down. And inside the alien ships, the Valari screamed. Their systems were collapsing from the inside, quietly. The null net wasn't a human invention. It was something ancient, found deep beneath Antarctica in the ruins of an impossible structure. The scientists called it a black lattice. Marek called it the edge of understanding. The Valari drop pods didn't vanish. They were absorbed, disassembled, at the quantum level by the net surrounding Earth's upper atmosphere. It wasn't a defense system. It was a digestive system. The aliens thought they were the predators, but Earth had evolved. Not just humans, but the planet itself. Marek's voice echoed across secret channels, encrypted, encoded. Stage 2 begins. They know we're not helpless now. In orbit, the Valari high strategist finally felt fear. His ships were losing power. Communication with half his fleet was gone. Systems were freezing. And then, a signal. Not from Earth. From behind their fleet. An unknown vessel, black, silent, massive, drifted into view. It hadn't been detected before, because it hadn't existed before. Not until the bait worked. The Valari tried to scan it. Failed. They tried to run. Too late. The black ship lit up with blue-white rings, and then it blinked. Not forward, not sideways, but through their ships. Valari vessels turned into ash. One. By one, no sound, no explosion. Just vanishing metal, and screaming. On Earth, Sarah stared at the screen. "What is that thing?" Ortega asked, barely breathing. Sarah answered without blinking. "It's not from our fleet. It's older. It's ours now." He turned to her. "Now? What do you mean?" she whispered. "It was sleeping here for centuries. We just woke it up." The earth rumbled, but it wasn't an earthquake. It was something waking up, deep under the surface, under old cities, abandoned bases, lost bunkers. Something was rising. Ortega gripped the edge of the control table. "That can't be possible. That reading says it's moving under every continent." Sarah nodded slowly. Her face was pale. It was never just one ship. That was only the first to show itself. She tapped the screen. Ancient maps appeared. Prehistoric symbols, hidden tunnels, forbidden zones. We thought they were just myths, stories left behind by the first builders. Dr. Grant spoke for the first time in hours. They weren't stories. They were warnings. The humans hadn't built these machines. They had only found them and buried them. Long ago, when Earth was young and warlike, something came from the stars. Something not human, but something that chose humans as protectors, as heirs. These machines were not Earth's weapons. They were Earth's guardians, and now they were awake. In orbit, the Valari fleet was in chaos, 50 ships gone. No wreckage, no alarms, just silence, and then nothing. The high strategist stood frozen. He stared at the black ship in front of them, the one that seemed to move without moving, shifting space around it like water. "Retreat," he finally whispered. "Back to the outer ring, now." But as his words left his mouth, the stars behind him blinked. Not one, not two, but dozens. Dozens of new ships, each different in shape and size, emerged from the void, all black, all silent, all pointed directly at the Valari. They were not broadcasting signals. They didn't send warnings because they didn't need to. These machines weren't designed for diplomacy. They were made for one thing: erasure, back on Earth. In a hidden room beneath an old UN space station, Marek stood beside a stone pillar covered in glowing lines. He placed his palm on the center. The lines shifted. A hum echoed through the earth. He whispered, "Release the second layer." Miles. Below the crust, entire structures moved. Dust fell from long sealed tunnels, stone cracked, steel doors melted away, and from deep within the blackness, something stepped forward. Tall, human-like, but not human. It stood almost 10 feet high. Its body was metal and muscle, wires and bone. Its eyes glowed like twin stars. Sarah saw it on the screen and took a shaky breath. "That's not one of ours." "No," Marek said. "It's one of the firsts. It waited, buried for thousands of years. Now it joins us." The creature walked into the light. Not a machine, not an alien, a hybrid, born from Earth, and something beyond. It raised its arm, and high above, the orbiting black warships moved with it, not commanded by buttons, but by thought. Marek turned to the others. The enemy thought Earth was weak. What they didn't know is, we are the surface, but this is the core. In space. The Valari tried to fire, tried to run, tried to beg. None of it worked. The Earth's weapons didn't attack with lasers or missiles. They used gravity, time distortion. They used the planet itself. One Valari captain screamed as his ship bent in half, folded, like paper, and then disappeared into a tear in space. Another ship tried to jump to light speed, but only the front half left. The back half burned in place. They weren't fighting machines. They were facing rules of physics rewritten, and Earth held the pen. The stars were no longer silent. They were screaming, but not from Earth, from the Valari. Their signals, once proud and full of commands, now cried out in fear. One by one, their ships went dark. No explosions. No fire. Just vanished. Vanished like they had never existed. General Ortega watched the feed from Earth's orbital systems. The black warships, once asleep beneath the Earth's surface, now floated high above the atmosphere, waiting, watching, hunting. "These ships," Ortega whispered. "They don't wait for orders." Marek stood beside him. His voice was cold and steady. "Because Earth is no longer defending." He turned to Ortega and Sarah. "Now, Earth is attacking. In deep space. Valari Fleet Command had fallen back to the outer rim, 4 sectors, away from Earth. They thought distance would protect them. It didn't. One black ship appeared in the dark. Just one. It hovered silently near their outermost patrol. The Valari captain didn't fire. He watched, hands shaking. Wait. Something's wrong." The ship didn't move, but space around it twisted. The stars behind it bent unnaturally. Time around it slowed. Then, every ship in the patrol vanished at once. No sound, no trace, not even radiation. Only silence remained. Back on Earth, Sarah studied the data. "These ships aren't just powerful, they're learning." "They were waiting all this time," she said, "watching, preparing, and now they've decided to hunt." Dr. Grant agreed. "They were never meant to protect us forever." Earth's weapons were built for only one thing, eliminating any threat to the planet, no matter where it hides. Sarah's voice shook. "So they won't stop?" "No," Marek said. "Not until they know the danger is completely gone." General Ortega looked up at the hologram of the galaxy. "That means—" Marek nodded. "They're going after the Valari." Meanwhile, in Valari High Command, the Supreme Strategist screamed at the monitors. "How is this possible? We never even touched the ground." The scientist beside him whispered, "We woke something ancient, something that doesn't care who fired first." A signal flashed. A new ship appeared near the Valari homeworld. It looked different, bigger. It wasn't just a warship. It was a collector, a machine designed not to destroy planets, but to erase their history. Cleanly, quietly, permanently, the Supreme Strategist backed away from the screen. "It's here." Earth's message to the galaxy at that moment, across hundreds of systems. A simple message was sent from Earth. No threats, no warnings, just 5 words. Do not touch this world. It repeated in every language, in every code. The message was, followed by the last known image of the Valari First Fleet, and then darkness. Galactic networks went silent. No one dared reply. In the control room, Sarah stared at the message log. "We didn't send that." Ortega looked confused. "Then who did?" Marek simply smiled. "They did." He pointed upward. "To them, Earth is not a planet. It's a home, a living thing. And we are its children." Dr. Grant turned slowly. "Then what happens now?" Marek answered, "Now, they make sure no one ever comes close again." The Valari homeworld, Valari Prime, was a planet of beauty and pride. Towering crystal cities, skies filled with bright blue trade ships, golden banners of conquest flying high over the Capitol Tower. But now, everything was silent. And something was above the sky. Something black. Inside the Valari control tower. "Get the defense grid online," screamed Supreme Strategist Renka. "All power to sky shields!" But the black warship did not fire. It simply waited, watching. Its surface pulsed, smooth and alive. Renka stared at the ship's massive size. It was larger than their capital continent. It didn't move like metal. It moved like something breathing. The Valari tried to send warnings to nearby systems. No signal escaped. The warship was blocking everything. One of the young officers whispered, This is not war. It's judgment." Back on Earth, Marek stood before a large, ancient console inside an underground human vault, long forgotten under the Siberian ice. He was alone. He placed his palm on the surface. A voice echoed in the chamber. "Not a machine. Something deeper. Defense complete. Offensive phase ending. Purge status confirmed." Marek lowered his head. Sarah's voice came through his comm. "Marek, we just lost signal from the Valari system." "Not interference," he replied. "Erasure. Valari Prime. Final minutes." Supreme Strategist Renka and his high command stood in the central dome. The stars above began to vanish. One by one by one. Their sky turned black as space folded in on itself. Light disappeared. Time stopped. And then, a soft, mechanical tone echoed through every device on the planet. "Warning, this world approached Earth with hostile intent. Response: final." No one screamed. There was no time to. Valari Prime ceased to exist. Not exploded. Not destroyed. Removed. From space. From memory. From history. Galactic panic billions watched the silent feed. Valari Prime. Gone. Not even debris left behind. The systems that once answered to Valari fell into chaos. Ships fled. Colonies declared independence. No one wanted to be next. No one even dared mention Earth by name anymore. In the deepest parts of the galactic network, humans were now called something else. The untouchables. Earth. Days later, Sarah sat beside Marek watching the stars from a quiet hilltop. "It's over?" she asked. Marek shook his head. "No, just understood." "What do you mean?" He looked up at the sky. "The galaxy now knows. Earth is not weak. Earth is not prey." He turned to her with calm eyes. "Earth is sacred, and the Guardians have woken." In the distance, a black warship hovered silently above the moon. Not leaving, just watching, just in case. Silence spread across the galaxy. After Valari Prime vanished without a trace, a cold fear took hold of every empire, every ruler, every species. No one dared mention Earth. No one even whispered its name. And still, The black warships remained, quiet, waiting, deep inside Earth's hidden command center. Merrick stood before the last terminal, surrounded by glowing walls, ancient tech humming around him. He was no longer a soldier. He was now something else. The voice from the machine, old and powerful, spoke again. Final phase ready. Threat level 0, status secure. But Merrick didn't look relieved. He looked tired. Sarah stepped into the room. "It's done, Merrick. We've won." He shook his head. "We survived. That's not the same as winning." Across the stars, former enemy fleets, once strong and proud, sent messages. Some begged for forgiveness. Some offered tribute. Others simply went silent, hiding in their systems, shutting off all signals, hoping Earth had forgotten them. But Earth didn't forget. It remembered every planet that supported the invasion, every ship that entered human space, every commander who gave the order to fire. Aboard the largest black warship, the Sentinel, its mind, part machine, part ancient intelligence, scanned through records. One by one, it sent coordinates to smaller human vessels, scattered throughout hidden folds in space. Each target received one message. Final notice, you were warned. No speeches, no warnings, no second chances. Humanity had learned its lesson the hard way. Now it gave no mercy. Back on Earth, the sky was peaceful again, blue, warm, full of life. Cities rebuilt, children played, people laughed. But under the calm, there was always the watchers, not soldiers, not leaders, guardians. Marek stood on a cliff with Sarah overlooking the ocean. "They'll come again," she whispered. "Maybe," Marek replied. "But next time, they won't even reach orbit." He pointed to the sky. The faint shape of a black ship hovered above the clouds, invisible to normal eyes, but always there, waiting, ready. Final broadcast to the galaxy. From Earth, a single message was sent, encrypted, untraceable, unstoppable. "We offered peace. You sent war. You sent fire. You sent death. Now know this. Earth doesn't forget. Earth doesn't bow. And Earth never forgives those who bring harm to its people." In the deepest corners of space, an old saying began to spread. You may conquer stars, but never touch Earth.